Inside this food processing plant, as a worker reaches toward a running industrial mixer, his loose clothing drifts close to the rotating assembly. Never, ever approach, load, or clean rotating machinery while it is in operation. In a stone yard, a forklift positions a large slab while a worker stands inside the rack system. As the load shifts, the space around him rapidly closes. Do not position yourself between a moving load and a fixed object. This creates a pinch point with no allowance for safe error. If material shifts, tilts, or loses stability, surrounding structures restrict movement options and significantly reduce available escape pathways. The worker on the ground made a critical judgment error by standing inside the potential movement zone to manually guide the slab. Specialized lifting clamps or mechanical positioning tools, not hands-on guidance, are the only reliable methods for controlling large materials in these environments. At an active construction site, a crew pours a concrete slab supported by temporary wooden shoring. As the load increases, inadequately reinforced supports begin to show signs of structural distress. This scenario represents a falsework system failure. Wet concrete behaves as a live load, weighing approximately 2,400 kilograms per cubic meter. Without sufficient diagonal bracing, vertical supports are unable to resist compressive forces and may shift out of alignment. To prevent this, concrete pours must never proceed without approval of the shoring design by a qualified engineer. Temporary timber supports should be replaced with adjustable steel props or engineered shoring towers for heavier loads. Horizontal ledgers and diagonal bracing must tie all supports together into a rigid, unified framework. During a manual demolition task, a worker strikes the base of a freestanding wall with a sledgehammer, expecting it to fall in a predictable direction. However, the result is an uncontrolled structural collapse. Never ever undercut or strike the base of a wall to induce collapse manually. This is a structural undermining violation. Masonry walls do not fail directionally like trees. Once the base is compromised, the entire vertical load loses stability and may extend beyond anticipated boundaries. To prevent this, walls must always be dismantled from the top down using controlled methods. When mechanical demolition is required, equipment must be equipped with protective structures, such as falling object protective structures, and operated from a safe distance. Along a brick exterior, a worker performs tasks at elevation using a tall tubular frame scaffold. Without proper anchoring, the structure loses lateral stability. Never ever construct a scaffold higher than 4 times its base width without anchoring it to the structure. This violates the 4-to-1 rule. Scaffolds are inherently top-heavy and rely on wall ties to maintain stability against lateral forces. To prevent this, scaffolds must be secured according to anchoring schedules, with ties installed at prescribed vertical and horizontal intervals. Anchors must be fixed into solid structural material and never rely on friction or weight alone. On a street construction project, a motor grader moves slowly through the work zone, but one of the tires experiences a sudden structural failure. Never, ever walk or stand alongside the wheels of moving heavy machinery. Large earth mover tires operate under extreme internal pressure and store significant amounts of energy. Conditions such as heat buildup, internal separation, or prolonged underinflation can result in a rapid and unpredictable release of that stored energy. To prevent this, a clearly defined halo zone must be maintained around all heavy equipment. Ground personnel should remain at least 3 meters away from moving tires. Operators must perform daily circle checks to identify sidewall damage, deformation, or heat indicators. Any tire that has been overheated or operated underinflated must be removed from service and not returned to operation. In a steel fabrication yard, workers pause beneath an overhead crane as a large load travels along its designated path, unseen by those below. The rigging system begins to fail. Do not stand, walk, or remain beneath a suspended load. This violates the red zone rule. Overhead, lifting creates a high-risk area where equipment malfunction, load shift, or component separation can result in uncontrolled descent. To prevent this, crane operators must follow strict no-fly zone protocols and avoid traveling loads over occupied spaces. Ground personnel must maintain constant situational awareness and clear the area whenever lifting operations are active. Personal protective equipment offers no meaningful protection from overhead materials of this scale. Inside this automated aluminum processing plant, a worker enters the operating area of a robotic stacking gantry while it remains in automatic mode. Never ever enter a robot's work area without engaging the emergency stop and completing full lockout tagout procedures. Automated systems operate based on programmed logic, not situational awareness. When commanded, the system will continue moving until it reaches its programmed position. To prevent this, robotic cells must be enclosed by interlocked perimeter guarding. Opening an access gate must immediately remove power from all motion systems. Never rely on timing, speed, or assumptions when working near automated equipment. Inside an industrial chemical plant, a worker applies extra force to a stuck reactor handhole without checking the pressure gauge. But things didn't go as planned. Never ever attempt to loosen or remove a vessel cover while internal pressure is present. This is a critical stored energy hazard. Resistance at a bolt, handle, or flange often indicates that internal force is acting against the component. Applying additional force allows that energy to be released suddenly, causing the component to undergo rapid and unexpected displacement. To prevent this, the zero-energy protocol must be strictly adhered to without exception. Fully isolate the vessel, open all designated vent and bleed points, and confirm that pressure indicators read 0 before loosening any hardware. Never position yourself directly in front of an access hatch during removal. At a loading dock, operators use a walkie stacker to load an oversized load into a truck. As the load rises to clear the tailgate, the machine begins to lose stability. This is a stability triangle failure. Walkie stackers have narrow wheelbases and limited tolerance for elevated or oversized loads. Raising a load moves the combined center of gravity closer to the edge of the stability envelope. To prevent this, walkie stackers must never be used beyond their rated capacity or approved load center. Loads should remain low during travel and be raised only when the unit is stationary on level ground. Oversized or wide loads require counterbalance forklifts specifically designed for that application. Inside a manufacturing plant, a worker reaches into an automated molding machine after bypassing a safety barrier, assuming the temporary pause will hold. Then the unexpected happens. Never ever place any part of your body inside the point of operation without fully isolating all energy sources. This is a textbook lockout tagout violation. Automated presses operate based on logic conditions and will activate whenever those conditions are satisfied. To prevent this, the test before touch rule must be followed at all times. Power must be shut off at the source, a personal lock applied, and zero energy verified before bypassing any guard. Emergency stops and interlocks are control devices, not physical restraints. If access is required, the machine must be completely disabled before entry. To keep learning from these important workplace safety lessons, make sure you subscribe and turn on notifications. Stay aware, stay safe.